UNC Chapel Hill a waiver. That waiver was in October of 2014. So that crime is inside of the pardon. But what is not inside of the pardon is what happened before June of 2014. And this is where the treason, and this is where the domestic terrorism, and this is where all of these other acts fall. And that's why I'm encouraging people tonight not to hang their heads and go, oh, look, the guy got away with it, because he didn't. Now, mind you, to date, we have not had a single attorney general, not anywhere in the United States. We have not had a single prosecutor anywhere in the United States who has not reviewed the case that we've presented and not agreed with the charges that we've laid out. Not one of them. We have also not seen a single one of them take the case. And that is because, as we've been told on numerous occasions, there has been a deep concern that filing charges and bringing a case would actually adversely affect political aspirations in the future during a Trump presidency. And why? Why is because President Trump has still not distanced himself from the mRNA shots and Operation Warp Speed. I have submitted on numerous occasions that that does not preclude him from still doing the right thing. Because if he actually did what he needed to do, and by the way, ladies and gentlemen, this is a silver lining, Alex Azar, the person who was Department of Health and Human Services, made a statement under oath where he said that the vaccine development started in mid-January of 2020. Now, here comes the tiny little technical problem they all forgot. And by the way, Alex doesn't have immunity. The emergency use declaration took place on January 31st, backdated to January 29th. But here's a tiny little problem. Alex Azar said the injection was engineered somewhere around the second or third week of January, which means, are you ready for this? It's not a covered countermeasure. It wasn't done inside of the emergency use authorization. It's not a covered countermeasure, which means that the civil and criminal liability, if Alex Azar told the truth, and by the way, I didn't see a pardon for him today. Did you, Robert?
That's interesting how they overlooked that one.
Well, here comes the kicker. Wouldn't it be a sad thing to find out that they colluded to try to cover this thing up, but now there's a new crime, and this crime could have 50 jurisdictions all prosecute and successfully imprison Anthony Fauci for the conduct of what's called ultra-hazardous activity, which is a felony. And it turns out that if we go and look at the silver lining of this, I think that they just got a little too cute for their own britches. Because I think what they did was they tried to cover it up for Anthony Fauci, but I think they painted a bullseye on the guy who was Traitor-in-Chief, Alex Azar, who on September 19th of 2019 was the one who put that executive order in front of President Trump that started this aggressive, quote, vaccine initiative through the executive order of September 19th, 2019. It turns out I think we've got a gift in this thing is my bottom line. But for everybody who's getting lost in this, Robert, I think it'd be really helpful if you and I walked through a little bit of history just to make sure everybody gets the storyline, because a lot of people still are missing critical pieces of the fact pattern of what has been this criminal industrial complex. And we need to realize that these crimes are not COVID crimes. To your point, Anthony Fauci has blood on his hands from pediatric clinical trials for orphans in hospitals where he killed people. He's got blood on his hands for AZT trials. He's got blood on his hands for all kinds of things. Ebola trials, the ZMAP project in Africa during Ebola. He's got blood on his hands for a whole bunch of reasons. And so let's not lose hope tonight, because the fact is we now have the admission of a criminal act that is by imputation, because that's how the Supreme Court is held. The fact of the recipient of a pardon is by implication guilty. So we know that this idea of a preemptive pardon is nonsense. He's not preemptively pardoned. He is now presumptively